Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism, narcissistic relationships, and healing from narcissistic relationships. And in this video, we're talking about a strategy for healing from narcissistic relationships that a lot of people don't want to hear, but I'm just going to say it. You obviously have to do what works for you. Today, I'm going to talk about why you may want to spend 12 months single after a narcissistic relationship ends. I do want to put in a disclaimer that you want this 12 months on your own if the relationship lasted 2 years or longer. This isn't something if you're relationship for a month, that's not what I'm talking about. But 1 year, 365 days, 52 weeks, okay? You heard that right. I get pushback on this suggestion all the time. Many people will say, I was lonely for years in this relationship, and now you are suggesting I need to be single for 12 months? Do you want me to die alone? I don't. And there is a method to what I'm suggesting here. Narcissistic relationships are where people get lost. You lose your sense of self, what you stand for, what matters to you, your values, your friends. You slowly get infected with their version of events and even lose your perspective on reality. It's very unsettling. So, when people end relationships with narcissistic people, or the relationships end for whatever reason they do, there's a real temptation to be the sort of kid in the candy store, right? I'm out of this relationship. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to meet people. I'm going to do it all. And you want to feel loved, or maybe want a rebound relationship to make all the bad feelings go away. I get it. Because the only thing that can sometimes make that terrible feeling of the discard go away is the new love bomb. So like I said, I do have a disclaimer to this rule. If your narcissistic relationship lasted, well, let's say 2 years or less, I don't know that this full 12-month sort of detox is necessary. But if your relationship lasted more than 2 years, I gotta tell you, I strongly recommend a year. So the question then becomes, why? First, to have that 12 months on your own, there's no running away from the grief. Narcissistic relationships are one big study in grief. You're experiencing grief while you're in it. You experience grief as you experience the thousands of little losses you experience within the relationship, the loss of hope, the loss of reality, the loss of friends, the loss of identity. It's a lot. You lose yourself. And that's a lot to grieve. But you may not even be clear that you're losing yourself. You just know that the whole relationship feels heavy and sad and lonely, and that fills you with grief. And when it ends, you grieve the time spent, the time lost, the hopes lost, the you lost. All of this takes time to process. And it's not like the grief when someone dies. The narcissistic person is still alive, living their life, talking to your friends, posting on social media, perhaps even saying terrible things about you. So it's a long, dragged out process of grief. That grief needs some time to work its way through you, and it doesn't feel good. So you may find yourself trying to distract from this terrible feeling. Anything rather than feeling like this. A second reason for these 12 months is that it allows you to become acquainted with yourself again. You likely gave up a lot of yourself, your preferences, your wants, your hopes to be in this relationship. It could be silly. You may love pizza with some onions on it, but had to give that up years ago to relent to the narcissistic person's preferences. You may have simply given in to thermostat settings that were never right, having your experience and perceptions regularly doubted, of having to just give in just to keep the peace. It's time for you to go back to figuring out, what temperature do you like to keep the house at? What is your favorite pizza topping? To have the experience of saying, oh, the keys are right where I put them. Or to taste something and say, this is spicy, without the other person saying, no, it's not. Coming back to yourself again isn't just superficial stuff like pizza toppings. It's deeper stuff like your values, how you want to spend your time, the way you want to treat people. That takes time too. I often suggest that clients make a list of the things that they gave up to be in this relationship, from the superficial, pizza toppings, to the sublime, to the deep. And in those months after the relationship, start doing all that stuff you had to give up on, whatever they are. So a third reason for this is it allows you to create a healthy social world. Narcissistic relationships mean isolation, shame, which may isolate you from friends or family because you don't want them to see your relationship, or you have been told so many bad things about these people that you don't want to see them. Or your friends may have disconnected because they don't want to witness what you're going through anymore or hear about it anymore. Or you don't trust yourself socially because you have been criticized for so long, or self-monitored yourself so carefully now because you're often told you look or sound foolish. For people coming out of narcissistic relationships, it can be a time of building bridges again, getting support for friends who are probably happy to see you out of the relationship, connecting with healthy family members, or slowly reaching into new spaces to make new friends. Building these healthy social connections is good for your health and creates that sort of social capital that can foster your healing and be a buffer against future toxic relationship situations. A fourth reason for this year alone is it forces you to do some things alone. Nothing builds efficacy like having to figure stuff out for yourself. This may be finances, fixing things, planning a trip, solving problems. Narcissistic people are notoriously controlling and will either insist on doing things themselves and not sharing what they're doing, or criticizing what you are doing, which may inhibit you from wanting to try doing them. Over time, you may feel unskilled or incapable or internalizing the sense of incompetence, which isn't true. Doing things begets a sense of competence and makes us want to do more things. Narcissistic people can be so dominating, so contemptuous, that they often treat you as though you are literally incompetent. You aren't. So take this time, take this year to learn to do things, practice or learn new skills, and dispel this idea that the narcissistic person may have filled you with, that you can't do anything. You can. Give it a try. A fifth reason is having a year off helps you build new traditions and get past all those anniversary dates that happen in a year. 1 year means 1 year of holidays, summer, vacations, their birthday, your anniversary, and those days can be taken back. Red letter days, whatever, holidays, special days, are a mess with narcissistic people. They always manage to ruin them for everyone, or they are disappointed by them, or they let you down. So take them back and don't fall for any hoovering on those days. Celebrate these, whatever these days are, with friends or alone. Make a new tradition. Go on a trip you wanted to take. But getting through the first year of these dates, these anniversary dates as they were, strengthens your fortitude. A year is a really long and a really short period of time. If during that year you were to meet someone intriguing or compelling, you don't need to tell them you're on a 12-month detox. But you can say that you're just taking life, love, and relationships slow, that you would love to build a friendship with this person. Listen, I've worked with people who have done both, who didn't take the 12 months and went into something new, and those who waited the 12. Over time, the data kind of accumulated. It was very clear. The folks who took the 12 months were much further along in their process of healing, growth, individuation, health, just grounding, a sense of grounding. The folks who got into a new relationship within the year often ended up right back in toxic relationships. Nobody can tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you this is a rule. But hold and sit with this idea for a minute and recognize that healing from any form of relational or narcissistic abuse often happens best when you're not in that kind of relationship, but instead have other supports around you. It allows you to take back the thing that was stolen, which is you. I hope that helps. I know 12 months is a long time, but hey, start the clock today. Before you know it, it'll be next July, and you'll be like, yeah, that made a huge difference. Thanks again.